Hi Stampers, I'm Meg from Loven Stamps, and for this Dashing Deer card that I'm going to share with you for Stamps in the Mail Club this month, we are featuring the detailed deer thinlits in a really cool way. So instead of just having a flat card, I really love cards with extra dimension. And so, you know, a lot of times I just keep layering things up. Well, this one is reverse layered. So it is actually done as a silhouette. So let me show you, if I get really close here, can you see that the deer is actually a cutout on this card so that you have a really cool feature where your design elements are underneath the layers instead of always on top. So that's kind of a neat way to just switch things up and have a little bit of surprise in the mailbox. And then, hello galvanized buttons. Did you see that? These things are the best. So grab your Stamps in the Mail Club kit and I will give you some tips and tricks on using those detailed deer thinlit dies to create this card. This card is pretty simple, lots of fun pieces in here, but there's definitely a trick for doing this silhouette, so I want to share this with you. Our background cardstock color is Gray Granite, which is one of the new colors that just came out this summer. Love that color that Stampin' Up! Came out with. And the Festive Designer Series paper, Festive Farmhouse, is a great match for it. So what I have is this piece of the Designer Series paper that was cut with the die from Detailed Deer, so this guy with the big shot. And your pieces come pre-cut for you with Stamps in the Mail Club, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, it's really tempting when you have a silhouette like this to want to just stamp through here. But honestly, that is a super hard way to do it. So let's make life easier for ourselves. And what you actually want to do is start off with another piece of scrap paper that matches the color you want and is going to line up there behind our layer. And I'm going to take my Gray Granite. You could use your Stampin' Spot, which comes with Stamps in the Mail Club, unless you want to do the upgrade for full-size ink pads. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this pretty deer here. And it is a gorgeous stamp set. It's actually one stamp that has this variegated color. So there's texturing on the stamp that makes it come out in two different tones. So that is going to line up nicely here on the back, so it's not going to overlap. Now, if you realize you did it a little to the side or something like that and you need to trim some, go ahead. But then what I'm going to do is take my cardstock here and I'm going to put Stampin' Dimensionals on the front of this so that it will prop up that Designer Series paper where I want it to, so that I get a really fun silhouette effect. And you could put it together with just a couple dimensionals, but honestly, you know I'm not usually an excessive dimensional user. Usually I use just enough to get by, but in this case you really want to have quite a few because you want it to have a nice layering difference between the two pieces. So, okay, I'm going to set this down, and then it's really tempting to want to like do this, but clearly it's hard to line that up. So you're going to set this down on the table, and then you're going to bring your Designer Series paper down over it. The legs and the antlers are the trickiest part to line up, but that looks good. All right, so there we have our nice silhouette. Now this is going to get layered on another piece of Cherry Cobbler cardstock, which is a terrific color. Cherry Cobbler and Mary Merlot are the gorgeous reds. Cherry Cobbler is a little bit more like cherry pie-ish. The Mary Merlot has just a little bit deeper wine kind of color to it, so it's a little bit more purple. In case you were wondering about the difference between those two colors. The Mary Merlot is one of the brand new ones. So, okay, so we have our deer. Now we need to dress this up a little bit. So I have these pieces that were also die cut from the Detailed Deer. And it's really simple to punch these out if you have little hanging chads. And you need to take those out. You can do that with a pokey tool, otherwise known as a, actually, let me show you. You can use the Take Your Pick tool. So on this, there's actually two different ends to it. I'm going to flip this around and pop this in so that I have my pokey tool that is part of my Take Your Pick tool. So just a really great tool. When this first came out, I said that it was going to be part of my toolkit. So like my snail and my paper snips and my Take Your Pick tool and Stampin' Dimensionals, of course. So I've been finding that this is a really useful tool to have around. And they're $10. They're in the holiday catalog, but I think they'll probably be around longer than that. Okay, so you want to take these guys and attach those, and you have a number of choices for that. One of the popular ones is a sponge and your liquid adhesive, the green lid glue, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and use my fine tip glue pen, which has this little tiny needle tip, and just go ahead and put some of the fine tip glue on the back here. And it doesn't take a lot. You want to just have enough to attach some of the key places and pop those down. And it doesn't snap on there, it doesn't grab right away. So if you want to take an extra block to just hold that down while the adhesive is curing just a little bit, that is always a brilliant idea. Let's see, we'll put some more on the back of this. And then the trickiest thing about fine tip glue pen is putting the lid back on. So let me give you some tips for that, because I find it's not too bad actually. So I'm going to take another block and set this here. Another good reason to have blocks. So rather than trying to do this in the middle of the air, what I find is best is I put that tip of that needle there on my finger, and then I just line up the glue pen or the glue tip and slide those together. So having it not floating in the middle of the air, having it rest on the pad of your finger like that really makes it pretty easy to get that to stay. So, and by the way, this lid fits on either end. So whether you have the spatula end or the pokey tool end, piercing tool end out, that same lid is going to go on there. So, all right, we now come to our galvanized button. So I'm going to go ahead and thread this through, and sometimes if you twist that end, you can get it through a little easier. Sometimes it takes a little wetting of the end to get it through. But these galvanized buttons are really fun. They're kind of warpy, which makes them just extra decorative. I really like the coloring too. It matches the galvanized paper that's in the holiday catalog. So I'm going to pull that through, and then we'll cut off that end there that has my spit on it, because ick. And then I'm just going to take this and tie a knot in the middle. And then my favorite way to attach the button like this is to use a couple of glue dots. So we're going to go ahead and take those here in 1 second. I like to keep my bow ends short so that they're in the right scale for our project. And this cotton twine is from the Festive Farmhouse product suite too, and it's just really, it's really soft. I don't know if you can kind of get that idea from the video, but it's a fun one, and very, very easy to use. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside for a second, and then I'm going to stamp my greeting here. I have Happiest Christmas Wishes, and I'm going to ink that in what's the green? Mossy Meadow, and go ahead and set that there. And I know it's going to shock you, but I'm not going to put banner ends on it. I'm just going to cut them flat. I know, right? How could this be a Loven Stamps card without banner ends? But then I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional and pop it on the back there, and slide this here on the front of my card, and then add my button. And the button, again, I'm going to do with glue dots here like this. And usually I kind of like to put a couple on just because it's kind of a heavy button and you don't want your card to come apart. So now if you're mailing this, you would probably want to put it in an envelope with a piece of cardstock or like tag board kind of on the front of the envelope so that it really protects the envelope from getting smashed up. But also just a really fun and relatively simple card to do. So if you need a Stamps in the Mail Club kit, you can still request one from my website. Make sure you let me know soon. That is including the Dashing Deer stamp set or another stamp set of your choice if you already have that one. And the inks are included, everything you need, pre-cut, printed directions, and so forth. So let me know if you have any questions or if you'd like a kit. Lovenstamps.com is my website, and I look forward to sharing another project with you soon. Happy stamping!